I love popping cherries, just by the way. It was good for me. So it has come to my attention that this whole half of the room is named Mike. So obviously, and you used to be over there. So obviously I've already been introduced as Juliana, so I'm gonna rename these as Mike and Ike. Because they're like candy, eye candy, right? When I actually went to the doctor and I was talking to him about him, he's like, so what are you thinking? And I'm thinking, I don't wanna make eye contact with anybody ever again. Got that? I think he did a pretty good job. So, you guys ever go to the bathroom and feel like you're making a new friend? Every time you wave. And then you get a little reward. And you're like, that was great. It was the most action I've gotten all week. So, I was a supervisor in a 911 center for 7 years. Yeah, imagine that. On your worst day, you call somebody like me. Yeah. So let me give you some helpful hints about what 911 operators don't want to hear. When you call 911 and they ask, where are you? Here is not what they want to hear. At home is not what they want to hear. Okay. When they ask, how far did you fall? All the way to the ground is not the appropriate answer. Okay, because obviously that's why you're calling. It's never the fall that gets you. It's that sudden stop at the end. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking. I had a call, a guy said, it's 4th of July, and people love to climb up on their roofs on the 4th of July to watch the fireworks. And they drink copious amounts of alcohol. And I understand at this moment, copious might be too big of a word for most of you. So I'm going to revise that to say a lot. Okay, thank you. A lot of alcohol. So this guy called and he said, my future ex-wife had too much to drink and tried to get off the ladder faster than it would let her. And I thought to myself, wow, there are so many things wrong with that statement. So, have you guys seen the buses that drive around Vegas now? The ones that say, too many pedestrians die in the streets. What the fuck are pedestrians doing in the streets? Seriously, people. Don't they know any better? Laugh, come on. That was funny. Do you realize how nice people are at 2 a.m.? How polite they drive? They drive 5-6 miles over the speed limit. They use their turn signals. They stay a healthy distance away from the car in front of them. We all know why. I think daytime could use a lot more drunks. Because, quite frankly, wouldn't it be nicer if people were like, sure, I don't want to get pulled over. For sure, cut in front of me. That's okay. I'm not going to be angry because I'm drunk. I don't want the ticket anyways. So, I have a daughter. I love my child immensely. And the other night, my daughter was knitting on her loom, and she wanted to learn how to purl. And I understand most of you are too drunk to understand what purling is on knitting on looms, so I'm just going to move forward on that. And I said, baby, don't worry about that because you don't know. You don't know. And quite frankly, I don't want to look it up right now. So the next thing I know, my daughter has the loom in one hand, the bag she had been working on in the other hand, and half the bag on the floor in front of her. And about that time, my cat decided to begin her nightly serenade, singing the song of her people. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to drown you both in the toilet. But my daughter was too heavy to drag to the toilet. So I decided that maybe I would just wait until she was sleeping and smother her with a pillow and call it SIDS. She's 14, that would work, right? She's not too old for SIDS. I could play it off. So recently, I had to apply an interview for a job I already had. So it was good though, because I got the job. But I had to take a Colby test. And a Colby test is basically a personality test. And it turns out I'm a bad employee, and they hired me anyways. Which kind of makes me laugh. Oh. So I grew up in Vegas. I was born and raised. And one thing that I learned about Vegas that took me until adulthood to realize was when I was a kid, I used to gamble with my Halloween candy. I used to put values to my Smarties were worth 1, Reese's were worth 5, Snickers were worth 10. And my brother and I would sit around the bedroom, and I learned how to play blackjack and poker and Texas Hold'em. And my brother always got my candy. I realize now that he probably cheated. But my mother never understood why I always had the better teeth. So I realized that professional gambling was not going to be in my future. And so looking around, I decided that maybe I ought to look for other means of employment in Vegas that I could keep my clothes on. So I became a pedicab operator. And I would operate this pedicab, and I would carry up to 600 pounds behind me on the bicycle. And whether that be a family of 6 Asians with their luggage or 2 Samoans eating ice cream. Either way, I'd be able to handle it. And found it highly entertaining, some of the things. But I made good money making cash when other people were taking off their clothes for the same amount of money each night. Where else? Where else can I go? You know, I like hiking, and I live in Arizona. So when I go hiking in Arizona, they have the signs at the trailhead where you sign in. And I like to sign in as the Donner Party of 12. And when I sign out as 8 made it, we had a great lunch. It's good stuff. Y'all missed it. Woo! How is that for Common Core? Gotta love our education system today, don't we? Because quite frankly, there is no wrong answer anymore. Did you know that as long as you can justify your answer, you'll always get an A? So by that count, I can justify how I have 11 fingers. Now those of you paying attention are gonna think that's neat, and I'll show you how. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5 is 11. I would get an A. Of course, I would be highly medicated at this point. Thank God I do street drugs, right? Because that's what's popular these days. Oh, what else? What else? So, missed opportunities. You have children, and you start with this blob of flesh, and you get to mold it into whatever it is that you want it to be. So, growing up, you teach your child things, right? Stand, microphone, stage. And then you identify yourself as mom, right? And for the rest of your life, you're mom, mother, mom, mommy. Now I realized early on that I missed my opportunity because I should have had her call me wow. Because then it would have been, wow, can you help me? Wow, I hurt myself. Wow, you're the best. I'd be like, I know, baby. And then other people would be like, why does she call you wow? And I'd say, because she recognizes how awesome I am. So back to the missed opportunities. When I divorced my ex-husband, the father, ex-sperm donor of my child, he actually texted me and asked me how to spell my daughter's name so he could get it tattooed on his back. And I missed my opportunity when I told him how to spell it right. I should have said, how do you think it's spelled? Oh, that's perfect. Because then when she was like old enough to read, she'd have been like, who's that? And I realized growing up with me that my child was going to be a little warped. And so rather than start a college fund, I started a couch fund. Because every time I warped my child, I would need to contribute to that because they give scholarships for college. They don't give scholarships for the child most fucked up in this world. And she'd probably need a lot of therapy growing up with me. So anytime that I do something, I go, ching, there goes that couch fund again. And it would probably be about 3rd grade when she looked at everybody else and said, why does everybody else call their mom Wow's mom? So anyways, that's it for me. Thank you. You guys have a good night.